Okay, so I think it was yesterday or maybe day before, I don't know, but Sony finally revealed the full PlayStation Classic list. So, and me and a lot of other people were thinking, like we were kind of speculating that the reason why they didn't reveal the full list from the get-go was because they must have known that the full list was going to be really stupid and underwhelming. We already knew it was only going to be 20 games, which you know sure, Nintendo, I think both the little Nintendo mini consoles only had 20. And even then, that's kind of lame considering that those games don't really take up a lot of space. PS1 games, they could be anywhere between like 100 megabytes all the way up to like 6 or 700. Um, and then some of those games are in multi-disc, like Metal Gear Solid, which is actually on this collection. So they could take up a lot of space. I don't know how much internal memory is going to be on this fucking thing, but not like it's gonna matter because even if you try to hack, you're gonna run into that limitation. But anyway, I want to talk about this list. This list is, I mean, this thing is a fucking disaster. It's just so fucking bad. Um, there's some good games on there. Some of these games aren't good objectively; they're fucking terrible. And some of these games are just really niche and just not even they were never classic games. They were never highly rated. They weren't ever like cult classics. Maybe there was like 5 people on the fucking planet who fucking actually ever enjoyed these fucking games, and they're on this goddamn PlayStation Classic. And they got 20 slots, and it's like, why couldn't they, actually put some, like, there's some really big omissions on here. You know, Metal Gear Solid's cool, but where's Silent Hill? That was a pretty big fucking deal. You got Resident Evil Director's Cut on there. Where's Silent Hill? That was a pretty big deal when that came out in 1999 or whatever, you know? But instead of Silent Hill or Gran Turismo or Parappa the Rapper, you got Mr. Driller, Jumping Flash, Intelligent Cube, Revelations Persona. Who the fuck asked for those games? And even then, some of these games, it's like they got Twisted Metal 1 and fucking Grand Theft Auto 1 instead of the sequels that were available. The vastly superior sequels, or, superior sequels, maybe not vastly, because those games, but, you think about Twisted Metal and people think anytime that series gets brought up, the second game is the one that's like almost universally praised by everyone to this day. Um, and they picked the first one, and it's baffling. Baffling is really it. That's like, Cool Borders 2. It's like, yeah, sure, when that game came out, people enjoyed it, but Cool Borders is a series overall that hasn't aged well. And if anyone is actually going to sit there and say that right now that Cool Borders 2 still holds up, no, it doesn't. None of the Cool Borders games holds up well at all. Maybe 2001, that game was actually kind of decent. I played it. It was like the only game in the series that might hold up well today. It's playable, it's still not as good, not nearly as good as even the first SSX, which is a game on its own that isn't that great to this day, but Cool Borders is just not a great series. It never really was. It was just only acceptable back then because no one really had a good snowboarding game yet. And then Battle Arena Toshinden, yeah, once again, didn't age well. It's a lot of these games, for anyone that was around back then, you hear the names and it's like, you might have fond memories, but those are just memories. That's not really indicative of reality because this is 2018. A lot of these games didn't hold up well, and Battle Arena is another one of those games. It had better sequels they could have chose from. They didn't. So there you go. Destruction Derby, sure. I don't know. Decent game. Final Fantasy VII, whatever. I've never been a fan of Final Fantasy VII. It's a game with a giant following. People still love it. I never got into it. Whatever. It's on there. It'll be insane if it wasn't. So there you go. Grand Theft Auto 1, just no. Why? Just never really been a classic in my opinion. Um, it's and even back then it was just an okay game. Intelligent Cube, Jumping Flash, these games are just complete fucking jokes. They could have been better spots, Crash Bandicoot or Like I said, Gran Turismo, Silent Hill, Parappa the Rapper, something like that could have been on here, and they just didn't do it. Metal Gear Solid, once again, if that game wasn't on there, this whole thing would have been completely invalidated. This thing just can't exist without Metal Gear on there. Mr. Driller, not a bad game, but when you got 20 slots and you consider the fact that there's a ton of great games that were released on that system, it could have been on there. This is a slot that I think is wasted. Oddworld, Abe's Odyssey. Okay, so that's a series that you know, it's just, I get it. Once again, it's a cult following thing, right? But a lot of these Oddworld games don't really hold up well. They just don't. Almost all of the games, even the 3D ones, clunky controls, really bad level design sometimes, really bad game design in a lot of places. It's a game that has a really unique world, unique artwork, a cool atmosphere, but when it comes to the design of the gameplay and the gameplay itself, a lot of it was just fucking bad, and it didn't hold up well. Even when they did like a remaster recently or a remake of one of the old games, it wasn't that great because the original fucking framework wasn't that great. So once again, this is a thing that could have been better served for a different game, you know, a better slot. Rayman. I'm not gonna shit talk Rayman. Rayman has kind of always been a great series. It still holds up well, pretty good platformer. Not a bad decision here. Resident Evil Director's Cut. Honestly, I've never liked Resident Evil 1. I think it's terrible. I think every iteration of it was terrible. I think, um, yeah, the HD remakes, the remasters, whatever. It's just shit. I don't care what anyone thinks about that. But whatever. I think it deserves a spot on here because um, just the legacy it's had, and people are going to fanboy over it anyway. I would have preferred Resident Evil 2 or 3, but whatever. Um, it is what it is. Revelations Persona. I've never really played a lot of the Persona games, but this is a game that's not really good at all. It's pretty shit. So once again, just a really questionable thing. Ridge Racer Type 4, we already knew about that. Good game, still holds up well. Good controls, nice visuals, still holds up well. It's a good game. Super Puzzle Fighter 2 Turbo, fantastic game. It'll be fun for multiplayer. And speaking about multiplayer, it's weird that this fucking thing has two controllers, right? Like, it comes with two controllers. And there's not really a lot of great multiplayer games on here. Like they got Siphon Filter, which I love. Anyone that has followed me on this fucking channel knows that, but, it would have been cool if they had Siphon Filter 2, which actually had a really good multiplayer component. But whatever, Siphon's on there. I actually thought they were going to completely snub Siphon Filter, but they fucking didn't, so that's pretty neat. And yeah, honestly, playing this game without analog stick is going to be kind of painful. Because you do a lot of manual aiming in this if you want to have any success in the later levels or whatever, or play on hard mode, but whatever. Tekken 3, good game. Would have been a travesty if it wasn't on here. Now this one is just a fucking mystery. A true mystery, right? Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six. Okay. First of all, let me say, Rainbow Six, the original, was a great fucking game on PC. Even the Dreamcast port was okay because it was based off the fucking PC. But Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six on PS1 was a completely different beast. And when I say beast, I mean it in the worst way possible. This game was a fucking abomination. Alright? When it came out, it was an abomination. I'm not saying with any type of bias that this game was terrible. It is just objectively dog shit. This game is complete fucking garbage. Who the fuck ever thought about the PS1 in a retrospective and was like, man, Rainbow Six was a great fucking game. I hope that's on any potential fucking mini version of a console that comes out in the future. No. Out of all of the action shooter games that you could have fucking had, on the PS1. You pick this? They would have been better off just putting fucking Delta Force on there. That game wasn't great, but it was better than this fucking piece of garbage. Seriously? You got 20 slots, and this is what they do. Like, and then it's even more baffling because I don't know if this is confirmed or not, but like actually it is. Like the Japanese version of the PlayStation Classic had Parasite Eve. Why couldn't you put that on here? That game literally takes place in America. You know, it came out in America. It was localized. Why wouldn't you put that on here? No, you pick Rainbow Six. What the fuck were they thinking? And then Twisted Metal 1. I already talked about that. Weird choice. They could have picked 2. Better game. And then Wild Arms, whatever. I don't have any strong opinions on it. I never really played the first one. From what I understand, it was a decent game. Whatever, not a bad thing. So really, just a baffling list. Really weird decisions, weird omissions. Just a complete fucking travesty. I don't know, man. It's just Sony has made a lot of dumb decisions, and this isn't really out of the ordinary. They fucked up. What else can be said? They fucked up. They did a terrible job. That being said, I kind of still want to get one because some of these games are pretty dope, and it'd be interesting to see how they look graphically upscaled, if it's like a native upscale or if it's just like some weird, shitty implementation. I'm not gonna pre-order one or anything like that because I'm just gonna wait to see how that is handled. And the multiplayer aspect of it, being able to take this to someone's house and just play it, just plug and play, that's pretty neat. But really, $100 for this, it's just not really a great value proposition in my opinion. Especially when a lot of these games can be had on the PS3 or the PSP or the Vita for cheap. So really, yeah, I mean that's my thoughts on that. I mean I think it's a pretty just it's just shit, you know. All right, I'm out.